If you're a doctor in public health care and you're just too tired and exhausted to plan your exit, this is the video for you. In this video, I'll talk to you about how I went from depleted to decisive and the exact steps I took to be able to pivot out of the public health system into my own wellness practice while considering my income as well. And before we go any further, I'm Dr. Simone. I'm a medical doctor and a wellness coach, and I help women physicians pivot out of the public healthcare system into out of hospital employment or their own private clinics or wellness practices, even if they're unsure where to start or they don't want to risk losing their income. So my year of internship was pretty difficult for me. All of the healthy habits that I had built up to that point just kind of fell to the wayside because of the adjustment to the new schedule and just the pressure and the stress of the job itself. And so I would often skip meals. I would have breakfast, and then the next time I would have a meal would be at 12 midnight, during call. Those kinds of crazy things happen. And, things like exercising and stuff wasn't as regular as I wanted it to be because of the adjustment. And of course, sleep, became an issue as well. And so that year had significant impact on my physical and mental well-being. I was always tired, restless. I didn't get enough sleep. I was mentally and physically drained. My confidence and my spirit were just drained by the entire experience. And so looking back on it now, I realize, how could I have even thought about what would have been the next step for me after internship career wise if I wasn't even, my basic needs weren't even being met? How will I have the capacity to think about what career move I wanted to make, what direction I could possibly go in, if I was tired and exhausted all the time and trying to catch up on sleep and all of the other things? And it was really after that internship year that I realized how important my health and well-being was, even if my schedule was busy. And so I had to do a lot of work in terms of rebuilding all of the habits that I had and really shifting my mindset and perspective on taking care of myself, even as I worked and I took care of others. And since, starting my wellness practice, I've always said that all of the changes I made in my health and well-being over the next few years after that, they weren't big leaps and changes. They were small things that I incorporated, small changes that I incorporated every day that got me to the place where I felt better mentally and physically as well. So fast forward to the last private role I had. It was right in the middle of COVID, and so things could get really busy during the day. And I found myself, when I started that job, kind of slipping back into the habits that I would have had during internship year. And I quickly realized what was happening. And so I made it a point to be able to make my eating a priority, because that oftentimes was the first thing that would go. I would like work through lunchtime. And so that really left me feeling drained and exhausted at the end of the day. And when I really look at it, having a drained, exhausted, tired doctor isn't beneficial to me and my own well-being, and neither it is for the patients and the people that I took care of. So when that was happening, I really made it a point, to take my 10 or 15 minutes to have lunch, and that made the biggest difference in the way that my day went and how I was able to show up and take care of my patients, and of course the way I felt at the end of the day. And this is just to say that even though my environment changed and things were a lot slower compared to the private or to the public system, the same habits that you would have resorted to in the public system, they can very much still come up even if you're in a slower pace. And so it takes a lot of awareness and being able to catch that in time to be able to make the changes and to not kind of slip back into those old habits that weren't helpful. And it was because during that time, I was able to take care of myself in that way, just those simple 10 to 15 minute lunch breaks daily. And then I was able to stay consistent with my exercise during that time. I was introduced, as I started my coaching certification, I was introduced to breath work and breathing and how helpful that was during the busy workday when I would have people coming in with for COVID tests and who test and people testing positive and all the craziness that could happen on a daily basis. All of those things, the eating well, you know, taking care of my fitness and maintaining my fitness and also the breath work really gave me the clarity and the mindset to be able to think about what my next move could be, because at that point I wasn't feeling settled in that role, and I wanted something more and I wanted something different. And now that I'm focusing on helping women physicians who are in a similar position that I was before, wanting to pivot out of the public health care system into their own wellness practices, it's super important. One of the biggest lessons I learned was being able to take care of my energy, my health, and well being, because it gave me the capacity I needed to make those important decisions for my career. And so my approach is always a health and wellness first approach. And so in my coaching program for women physicians who want to pivot out of public health care, especially if you're exhausted, you're tired, I know you're working 16, 24 hours, sometimes multiple times through the week. You have a lot of things to take care of, work, and then sometimes family and personal things as well. You can feel really exhausted and not sure if setting aside the time to make these decisions and to put in the effort it takes to be able to make this career move if it's even possible. And so my approach is a health and wellness approach, and it takes just implementing those small steps, those small habits into your already hectic schedule, so that you can find yourself setting aside, even if it's a certain amount of time, half an hour, 1 hour weekly, towards your career move, and that makes the biggest difference. So you may be saying, Dr. Simone, I'm so tired, exhausted. What are some small ways, examples of ways that I can protect my energy so that I have the capacity to be able to think about and make changes in my career? So these are some of the things that I recommend. So first I start, for me, eating on time is so important. I see the difference in the way I feel when I eat late or I skip meals. And so for me, setting aside, even if it's 10 minutes during the day to be able to eat lunch made the biggest difference. And most of the time, I was thinking that the worst case scenario would happen if I took a 10 or 15-minute break. And so, even that can make the biggest difference in how you feel and how you're able to function for the rest of the day. So that is an example of a small way to start. If you feel like exercise is a good activity for you to get back the energy you need at the end of the day, maybe at the beginning of the day. Is it a 10 or 15-minute walk that you can incorporate, or maybe a YouTube video that you can, use in your daily or your weekly routine? Another thing to look at is where your energy is leaking. What things are draining your energy? Are there things in your daily schedule, maybe during your workday, that are taking away from your energy that you have some control over? Maybe you can delegate tasks, ask for help in some area, or maybe you answer calls after hours, even when you're not on call, and that's something that you can stop doing so that it doesn't drain your energy. So look at the small things that you realize that take away from how you feel, drain your energy, contribute to your exhaustion and your tiredness. Sometimes those are the smallest things that make the biggest difference and allow you to rest and to be able to take back some of that time and energy and pour it into the areas that you want to pour it into. So I hope this was helpful, especially if you're really tired and exhausted and you don't see how it's even possible to change your career path or transition out of the hospital or health center given your schedule. And if you want a clear step-by-step path out of the public health system or your own private practice or wellness practice, book a free application call with me. On this call, we'll chat about where you are in your health, your wellness, your career, and where you want to be. And we'll come up with a very specific and personalized treatment plan for you to protect your energy as you work currently so that you can create your next career path and next career move, and also create momentum towards getting your next role or getting your next patients and clients while protecting your income. The link to book the call is in the description below, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye.